being a creative, it's the first thing that you need to know is that you're a storyteller. You have a voice. And I used to look at the work, and I used to look at the videos that I did, and then I didn't find myself in them. So the mistake was not being consistent with what I wanted. And that's the mistake that a lot of creatives make, is just shooting because something is in fashion. But if it doesn't go with you, then, so that's the mistake I made. It was like working but not knowing why I'm working.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of Makers Movement. In this video we get to hear from Keo, who is a talented videographer and photographer. We learn more about her experiences, the lessons that she's learned, and more especially how she plans to grow her career in this creative field. Don't forget to like this video, and I'll put a playlist at the end of this video just so you can catch up on all the other episodes of Makers Movement. Let's get into the video. Okay, so how are you actually? Let's start there. Hey.
I'm good, man. I'm good. And thank you for having me. I don't know, it's the first time I do this type of interviews. I'm doing fine. I'm actually drinking lemon and water, because it's like we're still in COVID-19 and I'm hiding all the way at home. And just, I actually left Joburg because I was like, sheesh, there's a lot going on in Joburg, and it's affecting me spiritually and mentally, that I moved. But I'll be back once everything is just but for now I found a way of working at home and just doing my own thing,
I was asking that you still do gigs even at home.
I still, but the mission has changed, how I'm working, things have shifted. I don't know if you're aware of my YouTube channel. So my YouTube channel, if you look at it, it has always been about mental clarity and discovering myself, right? And now in that process, I've discovered that I actually have a spiritual calling, like a spiritual gift, right? Because I was meditating, I was fasting. There's a video I did for fasting that I didn't even publish. There's a lot of spiritual work I've been doing behind the scenes, and most videos I got to understand that, okay, so maybe this is my line. Because when I went and did this other videos with traditional healers, and then I found out that, okay, I actually have this sort of gift that I was not aware of, So my YouTube kind of shifted me into doing my own spiritual work, and in that sense I'm at the point where I know I have to balance between spiritual work and the creative work. And now it's quite interesting how things are just moving, because I've always been doing spiritual work anyway, but it was just in a video form. So also now the challenge is now moving from doing events, because I used to do a lot of events. And events have changed, I no longer want to hear a lot of noise, I don't want to hear a lot of noise. I just want to, be doing the work that, because I can't be moving around with so much noise. So now things have changed to a point where I have to do more creative work now. I'm more about doing things like documentaries, filmmaking, script writing, doing those. I'm moving towards that. And more than even in advertising, I'm still trying to get in it, but in a way that is brands working with me on a project, unlike them hiring me to do a project. So it's sort of moving, and in that way I can do my own spiritual work. If you look at most people who are creatives that are actually doing so much well, who are doing well, they well balanced. They have a balanced life, spiritual work. It does not necessarily mean that you have to be a spiritually gifted person. It means knowing who you are and where you're going and where you come from. That's spiritual work. A lot of people think you have to be this high prophetess. Sometimes it's just acknowledging your ancestors, and you're acknowledging the people who were here before you, and that's spiritual work. That's you actually connecting with your higher self. And a lot of people think that you have to be okay, me, it quickly turned. I thought I was doing what is this? I was just finding out what is this urge I want to satisfy about spiritual work. And then it turned out that, oh, actually, this is my line. This is where I have to be, But we are going towards an era where everyone is doing their own thing. I mean, brands and agencies are no longer hiring people. If you don't do your own thing right now, you're gonna end up like literally being jobless. You have to create your own job.
You spoke about the fact that you were in advertising, you did that. I wanted to know, like, how did you get into specifically being a videographer and just making that your career?
How I got into that was, a lot of people don't know this. I didn't go to school and be like, I want to be a videographer. So I started off, right? I did psychology before everything else, right? I was actually volunteering at Love Life, right? And then I became a media groundbreaker there. And then when I became a media groundbreaker, then I started learning filmmaking. And then from there, I became so good. I was hired to be a filmmaker and teach around like Kimberly and stuff. So with that in my background, and then I actually went to this other marketing and advertising institution where they taught us multimedia and advertising, and so it just happened like that. Nothing really special, but that's how I got into this. I regard myself as a creative, as a creative, as an artist, as a creative artist, because I moved from just doing like just multimedia. I regard myself as a storyteller now, because my work is going towards that direction,
I think at the beginning, like we spoke about where you want to actually take your work, the fact that you want to go towards a place where you can tell stories, but you can tell stories that are related to you, like for example stories about spirituality. Can you talk more like about that? Talk more just about not nothing that you don't want to talk about, but talk more about like the creative direction that you want to take your career, because I think people sometimes shy away from specifically, how can I say it, being specializing in one thing, specifically maybe saying that I will be a storyteller, but I'm a storyteller who tells stories about people. People shy away from that. I wanted to know like how you got to that point and how you are planning to push that.
How I got to that point, it's finding myself spiritually and being aligned, and realize that at the end of the day, I don't want, when someone asks me, what is it that makes you enjoy your work, and I'll be like, well, it's when I'm working with this brand and that brand and that brand. I want to die. When I die, I want to be like, yo, dude, so I have achieved 1, 2, 3. I've like my name, I've done this and this and this, and not really, my name shouldn't be linked to like specific brand and stuff. That's why I'm moving towards filmmaking and just doing even like documentary photography, because I feel like that's actually what from the get-go, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to tell stories about people, and not just, because advertising has actually made us think that if you're working with this like certain brand or whatever, you're doing big things. But sometimes even shooting as a kid in the street is a big thing, because to you that's a story that that could touch someone else. So yeah, I don't know if I'm making sense. So I'm maneuvering around in that era, from just working with brands and being the videographer and what, to like doing things like taking my voice and putting it out there and just making sure I'm heard, as a creative, as a storyteller.
Wow, I love that. I love that. I actually remember the series that you do on YouTube, basically talking about other people and them finding their spirituality. Like, what inspired you to do that specific series? Like, talk about other people and their journey.
It's remember, my YouTube channel has always been about finding myself and finding things that makes other people do great work. And then as I started like looking at all my friends who are creatives, who are doing big in the creative industry, and I realized they spiritually aligned, you know, and the work that they do is actually like, they do what they do because they had to find themselves. You know, some it took like years to find themselves. And what inspired that is because I felt like I was lost in that time. I felt like, you know, I was at the point where I'm like, when I get a gig, oh, I'm doing this gig, I'm doing that gig, I'm doing that gig. And I'm not aware of, okay, what is this gig going to contribute in my career or in 5 years? And then I realized in 5 years, I don't want to be, you know, shooting events, you know, running around. I want to be the one who's now directing and doing, you know, so it's sort of like, what inspired me to do that thing. I felt lost last year, especially 2020 was a year where I started my channel, and then a lot of things was just like, it was a mess, and 2021 is even more worse. So what inspired that, I felt like a lot of creatives don't know themselves. You know, a lot of creatives, they just think creativity just, you have just to, because they always tell you create. They don't tell you what makes you create, you know, like what could, you know, you must like find a way of finding inspiration and just keeping on going. And keep on going, it doesn't mean you have to keep on creating. Sometimes you need to pause, ask yourself where I am, and then you continue. So yeah, if you listen to all my interviews are all about that. Be everything that makes you a creative besides just creating.
In your years of experience, like you've had a lot of mistakes that happen, you've had a lot of ups and downs. I wanted to know, like, what have been the mistakes that you've learned from, the lessons that you've learned, and then also how have you been able to just continue sustaining your career as a creative, as a videographer?
The mistakes I've learned was, which is one of the reasons why I'm home and just rebranding and re-strategizing, was actually working with brands and not really taking my own story as something important, not listening to my own voice, you know, just working because I have to work, you know. People, like, being a creative, it's the first thing that you need to know is that you're a storyteller. You have a voice. And, you know, I used to look at the work and I used to look at the videos that I did, and then I didn't find myself in them. So the mistake was not being consistent with what I wanted. And that's what the mistake that a lot of creatives make, is just shooting because something is in fashion. But if it doesn't go with you, then, you know, so that's the mistake I made. It was like working but not knowing why I'm working, just shooting because for the sake of shooting. And now I looked at that and then I realized, okay, I was trying to find myself, but now I'm still trying to find myself even now, because now spiritual work, it's gonna be like one of those things whereby, and people think when I say spiritual work, I'm not a healer. Right now I'm not, but it's sort of like when you know you have something bigger than you that you have to do. And I can't tell that now because I feel like this video is not about healing and stuff, but like, so the mistakes I've made was just doing things because I had to do them, but not doing things because they go with my mission and my, you know, my goals. I just did them. That's why I had to pause. You know, I had to pause and be like, yo, you know, that inner voice, and be like, yo, okay, what are you doing, dude? That thing, you know, that inner, you know, like talks you have with yourselves. I had to pause and be like, okay, fine, let me just find out what exactly I need to do. And here I am, finding myself. I still want to do travel videos that I used to do. I still want to do, you know, photography. I still want to do some stuff, but I want to do them in an environment that allows me to be myself and not too noisy. That's just me, you know. And I create artwork. I want to create work, but I don't want to create work that won't reflect me after 20 years or 30 years.
I wanted to ask like a very important thing. I already know the answer. It's storytelling. But what is like the one skill that you feel like as a videographer you should really invest in, you should really try and grow?
Besides storytelling, it's knowing yourself, man. You can't tell stories if you don't know yourself. But the skill, obviously, technically, you have to be technically there. But things that tickles you, you know, like things that makes you want to create, you know, like for me, I mean, I have a thing for visuals. I like nice visuals. That's why when I had to do a video with a phone thingy, I was like, the phone is a mess. So like learning like the visuals, you know, like you're having that eye, training the eye. It's one of the things that, you know, you need to do more often. And a lot of people don't really have time for that because, you know, cameras are hard to find, but it is what it is.
All right, I really do hope you enjoyed that. We did have a bit of technical issues. That's why the video was cut short. But thank you so much to Keo as well for joining us. Learned so much from her. If you did enjoy the video, click on the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and check out African Techno for all your AR VR needs. I'll leave the website link down below.